the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 169 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Today, we're going to be talking with Jake Alexander. Jake and I actually worked together many years ago. He's a long-term resident here in Costa Rica and host of the infamous Bizspirations show. So it's a show where he talks to people who choose to pursue kind of their passion or that lingering business idea in the back of their head here in Costa Rica. So people that have actually just kind of followed their passion or started a business down here in Costa Rica, which I think is probably very relevant for a lot of you down here. And we get to kind of hear his feedback, having I would say, done a lot of those interviews. So it should be great. So, and also, just about his advice on investing and living here in Costa Rica. He's been here for many years, owned his own charter boat company, has bought land, developed land a little bit down here, and worked down here in Costa Rica as well. So we're going to be getting his input. Thanks very much for everyone that's reached out to us about projects that they've got going on or help that they needed. I know that we're working with a lot of you and helping a lot of you. We've got quite a few things going on at the moment. I think we're kind of seeing a bit of a slowdown, which is normal this time of year. I think the next coming months, kind of November, December, January, February, and March are really going to be indicative, I think, of what this year is going to look like. According to my calendar, very busy, but we'll see. I think there's a lot of product on the market, so we'll see if a lot of that product actually sells. We're seeing a little bit of some price reductions here as well, mainly on stuff that I think was overpriced anyway. We've actually just got under contract a property in Mamo Antonio where we're going to build luxury tree houses. That's our fund that's basically bought that and is going to develop that, so it's going to be very interesting. But remember, you can reach out to us, info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. But let's get straight into the podcast with Jake. Good afternoon, Jake. How are you doing?
Hey, Richard. Good afternoon. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, man. No, not at all. I've been watching eagerly as you've been recording the Bizspirations. I hope I'm saying it right. Show that you guys have where you basically interview people, trying, I suppose, following their passions or that niggling business that they have. And kudos to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. It really kind of shows the people who went from their typical status quo job into something that they've always wanted to do. And season 1, we're showcasing people right here in Costa Rica.
Awesome. Well, let me just jump straight into it and we'll get a bit into that later, I'm sure. But I mean, with world economies somewhat stalled, kind of real estate prices, sliding a little bit, I would say in most, I know definitely the UK, the US as well in some areas. I mean, what are you seeing happening here in Costa Rica, Jake?
I mean, people are still buying and selling. Just for example, I live in a gated community with 20 homes, and up until 2 years ago, there were 10.
Yep.
So the past 2 years have been built out the other side of the community here, and every home is spoken for.
Wow.
With the latest transaction as of a couple weeks ago. So, while it's not, red hot, crazy prices that it once was, there's still a lot of transactions going on here.
Why do you think that a lot of transactions are happening, Jake? What do you think are the things that are pushing that market to basically to have those people continue to buy real estate where in the rest of the world, it's not moving as hot?
Yeah, well, I think just in general, if you want to have a foreign asset, Costa Rica is a pretty safe place for it, which I lay claim to, like the stability of the government. This is a place where you don't have to worry about the government coming and knocking on your door and all of a sudden your property is theirs.
Yep.
And it's a very popular tourist destination. I'd say the majority of the people who did buy those other 10 are looking to do some sort of short-term, mid-term rental in them.
Yep. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's just such a strong vacation rental market here because we're not building hotels like gangbusters. It's so difficult now to get permitting to build a hotel. The demand, I mean, again, this year, I think it's 2.5 million visitors will visit Costa Rica. It'll be the busiest year yet, but there aren't really that many new hotel rooms coming online. So a lot of that is being gobbled up by vacation rentals, and the demand is still very strong. And in your area of the country, Mamo Antonio, I mean, it's some of the strongest vacation rental occupancy, in the country.
Yeah, and there's just not you need a lot of dirt, you need a lot of water and a lot of resources for a hotel.
Yep.
But if you can put a home up here, I mean, the amount of resources you need is significantly less. The barrier to entry is significantly less.
Yep.
And if you can find a reputable property manager, you have someone that's is looking after your asset, as opposed to, I mean, you've done the hotel game.
Yep.
It's not as simple as finding a property manager.
No, no, it's not. It's a chainsaw juggling act, as I like to say. So yeah. Well, and I mean, the interesting thing is if you can cash flow pretty decently a vacation rental here, I mean, it's a plus for reselling your business as well. Meaning the next buyer that comes in, if you've just made their job easier of like, oh, okay, you're already making a 6-7% return, like this is pretty, and the logic is there behind the emotion, as I like to say.
Yeah, if you can tie, a history of returns to an investment, it definitely makes it that much easier as opposed to being the first one.
Yeah, I agree. Jake, how long have you been here in Costa Rica now?
So I first came here in 2010 to visit these Costa Ricans that I used to do tree work with in Connecticut.
Yep.
And then came down here after college for a couple months, and then I was going back and forth. I'd say, full time here about 6 years now.
Wow. I mean, what would you say was the biggest challenge for you of moving and living here?
It getting in with the with like the Pura Vida vibe and culture for someone who's like very punctual and on time and things get done today, not mañana,
Yep.
or if something breaks, it's not Pura Vida. Or it's that takes a little getting used to. And even if anyone's ever like tried to open up a bank account here, you go into the office with all the paperwork that they tell you, and then you think you're good to go, and then they're like, okay, and now I need you to bring me this. You're like, but didn't we go over all the things I was going to need?
Yeah.
So that takes a little getting used to, for sure. And I think for some people it is the death of their dream in Costa Rica, and for others, if you can adapt to it and kind of ebb and flow as the tide goes, you'll make it.
What have been the things that you like when you travel back to the States or whatever that you really miss, like the things that you really appreciate about Costa Rica?
That I appreciate about here, I'd say it doesn't feel materialistic here, and maybe it's just because in Mamo Antonio there isn't like a Target, or it's not that easy to get packages. Sure, like I can order something on Amazon, send it to Miami, pay a bunch of money to have it show up at the marina.
Yep.
But I think what I've noticed, like walking around the States, is there's just a lot of stuff for sale. And here, at least in Quepos, Memo Antonio, yeah, you can walk down the street and find things, but it's not so much like pushed in your face.
Yeah, I mean, I think here is nobody really cares if you have a Rolex watch or you're wearing the latest clothes. Like you kind of stick out and look like a bit of an idiot sometimes when you're doing that stuff. Like you look like a tourist.
Yeah, like you're better off like, don't draw attention to yourself,
Yep.
as opposed to, in the States, like you want to be flashy. Like you take that like Miami South Beach mentality to here, and I mean you're just putting a target on your back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's change gears here to kind of investment a little. I mean, do you think Costa Rica is a good place to invest? And I mean, what investments have you made here?
Yeah, I think it's a great place to invest. I think it helps if you are here.
Yep.
But for example, and you need to be, you don't need to be, but it helps to be a little risk adverse and find people that you trust to get to put you in a good spot. For example, I bought a lot in a gated community in Mamo Antonio that didn't have any water. And for people listening, if you don't have water, you're not getting a building permit. You're not building your house.
And it's going to be difficult to resell it.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah. So, I have a realtor that I know here that I trust, and people in the community that were working on the water project to get it done. So I had faith that, while it didn't have water, chances are that eventually would have water. And, through a contact of yours, was able to source a concession to be able to use the stream behind the house, and now actually got water a couple days ago. But that was, we're talking about 2 years later down the road.
Yeah.
But, in terms of value, we'll see what it sells for, but we're talking almost potentially doubling the initial investment.
I love to find land that doesn't have water, go out there with a hydrologist and find the water source, because as soon as I get it, again, the value of the property doubles.
Immediately.
Yeah, because I go from cattle land to now having a place where I can put a luxury home on it. So, yeah.
So I did that property. And then really because that one was just kind of getting perpetually pushed into the future, again, kind of with that go with the flow. It's not happening overnight. In the community where I live, there was a lot that came up for sale, and I ended up buying that and building, which building here is a whole process in itself. But the thing that made it really work for me was that I lived 50 meters down the street, if that.
Yep.
So, I could walk over. If they had a question, they'd come knock on my door. Whereas if someone isn't here, there's tremendous value in having a project manager that is not the builder.
Yep.
So, I'm sitting here in my, again, ebb and flow. This house was supposed to be done June 15th. We didn't really move in until August something. And that was like without kitchen cabinets or anything. Those eventually came. We're still working on the house, and I think the final end date will be December 7th.
At least you'll be in it for Christmas.
Yeah.
You're in it, but it'll be finished by Christmas.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be finished by then. I won't be in the country, but it'll be done. It'll be done by then. But even that building process is not what is traditional in the US, where you can build on a contract price. But for example, with my builder, we did it on square footage.
Yep.
And he would send me a handwritten list of everything that he needed. I would take that list, forward it to Constru Plaza's WhatsApp. They would send me back a CSV file and upload that into my cart on construplaza.com and put the order in. And then the truck shows up on Friday with hopefully everything that was written down.
Because
wow, if they don't,
you were in the weeds on that construction, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's just how, and it works. Yep. But again, if you don't have a project manager here doing it for you, it's got to be you, and you really got to keep eyes on your assets.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. We constantly clean up construction project messes, and I mean, it's project management, really, 101. And not everyone in construction is great at project management, unfortunately, and cost controls. And so, I mean, where do you think the opportunity currently lies to invest in Costa Rica?
So, funny you ask that. So I was just in Golfito last weekend, and I don't know if it's rumors, if it's true, but supposedly Marriott came in and is developing that marina to its full extent.
They are, because they've got the Enjoy group behind them. Yeah.
So I think in Golfito there's opportunity. There's also been talks of another airport going in further south of Capos and kind of halfway in between. So I think there's lots of opportunities south of Capos and Mamo Antonio,
Yep.
whether it be Ochachal, any of those kind of towns in between, especially if there's going to be another airport going in.
Yep.
And I think it's also a place where you'll find those lots that maybe don't have water yet.
Yep.
But with the right resources, you can find it. You got to be open to a little bit of risk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, but if you can diversify a bit, I really see that southern zone really expanding between, like you said, with Enjoy Group behind Marriott at the marina. Across the bay, you have Botanica, which I think is a Hilton property.
Yep.
With that marina there, so I think we're going to see a lot of development down that southern zone.
I agree. I mean, I think it's, that airport, I'm just not sure whether it's ever going to get done. I always say in Costa Rica, don't believe anything, until you see it happen. We're talking about the Limon International Airport the other day. And I was like, okay, who's pushing a project in Limon? Because I was like, there's not enough, transit for international flights to Limon. Oratina, I could see. The southern zone, yes, I could see. But Limon, I don't know, but who knows? But
yeah, where are you going?
Yeah,
Puerto Viejo.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not enough. Yeah, there's just not enough happening around there to put an international flight on. But well, let's talk about aspirations a little bit. I mean, again, you're interviewing people that are following their dreams, their passions, or have that niggling business idea in their head here. I mean, what trends are you seeing when you're interviewing people that have started businesses here in Costa Rica or followed their passion?
Yes, I think a common theme is they truly understand that go with the flow. And it takes time and you can't rush it and you can't get frustrated. And they all seem to be not looking for the next big thing, but kind of they get to a point and then they're like, okay, what else can I do to enhance my business?
Yep.
And then also they're very open to like advising and helping others. I think that's a very common theme that I've found with these people. Prime example, Brad with Rica Freedivers. He's had a number of students that have gone in through his instructor course, and then he, on top of that, teaches them freediving business economics. And now one of his students is opening up a store in Jaco. He's got another student coming in looking to open up one in the Sierpe Drake Bay area. And between those two and a couple other connections, all of a sudden a sport that was here but not very spread out.
Yep.
I mean, you can find a freediving shop all the way down the Pacific coast of Costa Rica now.
I mean, that's pretty cool, and it's something I do in my business. And it was weird that I was sat next to the real estate and hospitality head for FIFCO, the company that owns Reserva Conchao and the Westin and the W here, and the brewery company. And he was like, Rich, if you want to come and see our desalination plant and everything that's going on, I'll show you exactly how it is and how we got from like 12 liters a second to 20 and what we had to do. And I was like, wow, a big company opening their doors to a desalination plant where they've spent $5 million, 3 years tweaking it, will give me the answer in 2 seconds of how to get, to increase my capacity by 50% in a desalination plant. Like, that's not normal.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to help. They want to help. They don't see it as competition. It's everyone's helping each other.
I mean, I think that's the thing. Community is big in Costa Rica, but I think everybody understands of like, no one's out to get everyone. Everyone's here to make a living, have a family, create a community. And like, again, if all tides rise, if the tide rises, all boats rise. So, I mean, what businesses do you think are missing here in Costa Rica?
So there's none that really come to mind when you think of Costa Rica overall, but there are businesses that are not certain places. And I think Golfito is a perfect example of that. For the catamaran tours are essentially money printing machines.
Yep.
And there isn't a like catamaran tour there yet. And maybe this isn't the time for it to be there. But there will be a time when a catamaran tour will absolutely crush out of the Golfito Marina.
Yep.
And when that time comes, like I would want to be that person.
Look, I mean, I think most businesses don't just rocket source as soon as they've started. I mean, you can take a look at Calypso, which has been around for probably like 30 years, the Calypso catamaran tour. But if you're the first guy, usually the first guy wins, but you better be willing to take your licks for the first couple of years while you get that set up.
But I think, so I think that's really kind of the opportunities that are out there. Or even like I was mentioning with the free diving, there wasn't a physical location in Jaco. Well, now there is.
Yep.
So if you can find a place, you can find a business that's working well in another area of Costa Rica, chances are it'll work well where you would like to be if the volume of people is there.
Yeah. Well, Jake, this has been great. My last question for you. I mean, if you inherited $500,000 and had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in and why?
So I would diversify. I don't know if I would do business. I've done business here, and it's you just smile and shake your head. I would go for the real estate, spread it out, check out the southern zone, work with a realtor that I know and trust, work with someone like you, and diversify that portfolio of 500K into some risky, less risky, et cetera, up and down that risk scale to get the best return.
Cool. Well, Jake, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on the podcast. I think I'll put all the contact details for you and Bispirations link in the description down below. But thanks very much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was nice to catch up.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Great interview there from Jake. We didn't touch him, but Jake actually ran a fishing charter business with multiple boats for many years. And I think that's when you saw his comment of running a business here can be complicated, which it can be. I'm always a big believer in that, a business is only as good as the people in it. So just make sure that you have great people and always hire for people, they're going to fit inside that culture of that business. So, and I think anyone that works with us kind of understands that, our culture is that we love to have fun, but we like to get things done here. So anyway, but, great podcast there. Jake's very, very passionate about Bispirations, about interviewing individuals here that have followed their passion and started their businesses. I'll put all the links down there in the description down there if you want to watch them as well. They're very, very entertaining, and you might learn some things from them as well, because he travels all over the country interviewing people and releases it every 2 weeks. So as I said, very passionate and very high quality of production as well. Much better than this anyway, put it that way. This is this bad, just again, his is like TV style quality. But I hope you've enjoyed listening to us here on the podcast, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please give us 5 stars, share it with people. Just give us your comments, reach out to us. Anything you're doing in Costa Rica and need any advice. We've spoken to a lot of you. You can contact us, info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. I wish more people would chat with us before doing anything here in Costa Rica. Again, not going to charge you anything. If we can help you, maybe we can find a way to work together. If we can't, don't worry. As many of you have known, I will give out contacts. I'm a believer that, again, when the tide rises, all boats rise, as I said in the podcast. So any help that you need, and you'll find a lot of that in Costa Rica. People aren't very, closed doors. It's very open doors here. And I mean that literally, of like, my door is always open to my house and my neighbors are constantly walking in and out of it. But that's the beauty of living here as well, as the community. So, but anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you have, please give us a great review. Until the next one, we'll see you later. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.